know the site isn't really live anymore, but it's basically work writing sprint type of thing where you
Hmm.
just set a sprint for 20 minutes and just write and don't consult the outline, don't do any Google searches. Training yourself to do that is a very good first step for, I think, writers who feel called or feel like this might be helpful for them, but are still scared of it.
That's a really good idea. Actually, that's how I got started writing, if you'd be
Mm,
interested to know. I never
yeah.
thought I'd be able to write. I've always been creating stories my whole life, elaborate stories. Never wrote them down because I don't find myself very eloquent. I don't feel like I have a big vocabulary. So I
Mm,
figured my writing would be really clunky and ugly. And someone I worked with a couple jobs ago, she'd been working on a book for 8 years. She's a heavy plotter, coincidentally, scares me to
oof.
death.
Yeah,
Plotting
no.
scares me.
Mm.
But, and she said, well, have you ever just sat down and set a timer and wrote? And I was like, no. She's like, just try it. So I did. And I sat down, set a 30-minute timer, and I just wrote this random little, it was like 6,000 word story. Yeah, it was wild. My first writing session wrote that much. It just flowed, right? And it turned into the
Right.
prologue of my epic trilogy, my epic fantasy trilogy. So
Yes. I love
kind of
it when that
random.
happens.
I was
Yeah.
just like, well, and it was because I had to know. I was like, this ended so crazily. I need to know what happens. So I had to write the story, and it turned into this big trilogy. So I love that. I love that concept. I love the idea of trusting yourself. And the other thing I do want to point out about writing something messy in your book, By the Seat of Your Pants, you do mention, remember that no one has to read this. I think we, for some reason, feel like someone has to read the first drafts. Like, no one has to. Only you have to. You can
Mm-hmm.
just pretend it didn't even happen and no one will even know.
Yep.
So that helps feel more comfortable writing the
Yep.
first ugly draft.
It's and like you said, it is the rare author who can come in with a first draft that's halfway clean.